the journey of entrepreneurship, I tell my students all the time, it's a marathon and not a sprint. So there are going to be times where you feel confused. There are going to be times where you get discouraged. There are going to be times where you're frustrated because you're not instantly, a master at something. It's the perfectionism. It's the perfectionism. But when you experience those times, that's where you need support. That's where you need the guidance. That's where you need the mentorship to continue taking the consistent action.
Hello, Nani. Welcome to the Reset.
Hello. Thank you so much for hosting this and having a nice real talk convo with me today. I'm super excited.
Yeah, your story is a story of strength, of perseverance, of vision. And I want to start with, how you managed to go from losing it all, essentially, to now creating a multi six-figure, seven-figure businesses, helping other women find their way. I mean, this is quite a journey, Nani, right? And I know it required your mind, like it required a reset of your thinking. Mm-hmm. So what did you have to think to kind of climb out of going from nothing to something?
I absolutely love that question, mainly because a lot of people unfortunately don't equate their business with their superpower. And for me, internally, what I mention whenever I say superpower is that it is the perfect marriage between what you're really good at doing and what you love to do. So you can serve at the highest capacity and make a living within that. So for me, my biggest superpower essentially is helping women to blossom into the most well-loved, well-paid, organized, energized, best version of themselves, right? And so for that reason, I knew that if I was not the person to put that message out there to help women to blossom into the very best versions of themselves, who was going to do it? So the fundamental mindset was that it is my mission to make sure that I'm showing up for other people. So it was bigger than me. That's the reason why even when you get discouraged, even when you're not motivated, because I got to tell you, the journey of entrepreneurship is like 80% discipline, 20% motivation, to be completely honest with you. Yeah. The times where you're not motivated, you have to really always go back to the core and always go back to that why. So my why was helping other women who were in the same state of mind of hating their 9-to-5 job, knowing that their spirit is bigger than where they are now, knowing that they're not living up to their fullest potential, and getting to a space where they are beyond the YouTube University BS that's out there. They are beyond trying to do everything by themselves and still being faced with imposter syndrome, still being faced with superwoman syndrome, taking care of everything and everybody else except themselves, neglecting their own self-care and really taking a hard look and saying, you know what, I have to reprioritize. Yeah. I have to reprioritize to make sure that that what I'm doing actually ends up being a reality. It's not just an idea, and it's not just left in my notes app. Like it needs to become a reality.
Yeah. And you essentially you had to embody the woman that you wanted to help before you could help her. Yes. And that's not easy because you have to be that when no one's watching. So, right, when the camera's not on, you're not on Instagram, it's like, who are you when it's 6:30 a.m. and it's time to start your day? Who are you when you're hungry and, want to break away from the work? Like, do you stay? So you had to embody that. I love that. And you mentioned something else too about investment. Like you invested in yourself in the beginning. And that is something that I believed in very early on because I left my 9-to-5 to become an entrepreneur. And I figured out real quick that if I invested in myself into voices that really resonated with my journey and where I wanted to be, then I could accelerate my growth. It was like they put me on game, but I had to sacrifice some things to get in those circles and to get in and get that wisdom. Tell me your thoughts around why it's so important to invest in yourself first.
Ooh, Chihuahua. Listen, success leaves clues, right? We hear that. We hear that throughout the grapevine. So I have two things to say to that. The first thing, and please forgive me if I forget both points, but the first thing I wanted to say is that usually women that go to college have that understanding very early on in their career. Mainly because here's a concept that we've been taught for generations. You go to school, you get good grades so you can get a good degree so you can get a good job so you can make some good money, live a good life, right?
Yeah.
That's not the way the economy is working nowadays. So in this particular case, for the ladies who have college degrees, who are looking at getting higher education, you're literally exchanging tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a certificate for the possibility of working in a career where you may or may not actually utilize the education that you got.
Yeah.
People are getting smart in 2022 where they're realizing, well, damn, maybe I can invest a fraction of what it would take me to, go to college and get said degree, right? And actually invest that in getting mentorship from somebody who's currently where I'm looking to be, right? In order to propel my own success. So that is definitely something that I've seen a major shift in. My team and I have literally talked to, interviewed, worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women. And it's usually a vast parallel from the women who have formal education versus women who don't have formal education, especially for those first timers who are thinking, oh my God, this is nerve-wracking for me to consider spending X amount of money on the possibility of actually betting on myself. Where in all actuality, if you did not invest them, a lot of people with that kind of mindset see investments as bills. They don't have ROI on the brain. You know what I'm saying? So whenever somebody who is used to investing, who encourages investing, has seen either the potential or the direct return of what investing actually does. It literally buys you time. It saves you time, and it saves you a whole lot more money.
Oh my gosh. It's the fast track. And there is free game too, right? There's podcast. Like I got a lot of game from free podcasts. Okay. Like I at least understood what next steps I needed to take if I wanted to break free from my job and create my own business. Because the best women entrepreneurs, and especially Black, like I'm thinking about like Rachel Rogers, for example. She was putting so much of her stuff on her podcast, an effort to get people to buy in. But my God, that half of that is what got me out of my mindset of like, can I really do this? She's saying I can. So that gave me the next steps. I want to mention, talking about the investment, because the difference. I'm so glad you brought up the concept of college, because no one has ever brought that to me when you talk about investing in yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think about this big giant bill that I paid I'm paying Florida A&M University, right? And the difference between me handing over a check to a program, a business program, or entrepreneurship support or whatever, is that you truly are betting on yourself this way. And I think some people are afraid of not so much the other party not showing up, but they not showing up.
Yes.
As we're with FAMU, I can count on they gonna give me my degree, and it's I can just show my employer that, and it's not me. It's their credentials. This right here is me paying someone to help me figure something out, and I have to stand on that.
Yes.
So my question is, how do you get women? So now we're into overcoming imposter syndrome and mindset drama about who they can really be as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. How are you getting them across that hurdle and helping them realize that they have every possibility at their fingertips and they can make, more than they were making at their 9 to 5, right? How do you get them to think that way?
Okay.
Well, I know this is a whole
whole
academy, it's your whole school.
I am probably not. I am probably, full transparency, I am probably not the business coach or glow up coach, is what I like to say, that will feed you fluff. Yeah. The first thing that I have to say to that, because I absolutely love the fact that you mentioned that. So the first thing I will say to that is that a lot of people mysticize their goals. They mysticize the concept of manifestation, right? And essentially all manifestation is your faith coupled with your action. If you are not taking action, there's no way that you'll be able to reach your goal. I could tell you all day till I'm blue in the face, here are the possibilities. They are here. They lie before you. This is literally the roadmap of action that
Yeah.
you need to take in the right order to prevent overwhelm. We roll out the red carpet, honey. Okay.
Yes.
But it's what makes the big difference between those that see success and those that sit, because I don't have very many ladies that sit. We already pre-qualified times
Yeah.
3. Okay. So we
Yeah.
have to make sure that ladies are in the mindset of being ready to take action. Even if they don't fully believe themselves
Yeah.
as yet, the action is quite literally what proves that they do in fact believe in themselves.
Mhm.
So anybody could say, well, I could do this, and this is my possibility, so forth and so on. I sit my ladies down and I have some real talk with them. Listen, is this, something that what action have you taken in the past? Because your past actions determine, what you're going to be, the kind of student, the kind of employer that you're going to be in the future, because it takes work to get to your freedom lifestyle. And so the thing that I would say to those ladies who are right on the cusp of kind of breaking through that poverty, imposter syndrome mindset, or they're experiencing it and they're willing to overcome it, your freedom lifestyle is quite literally on the other side of your consistent action. So it's a matter of, how do I say? It's a matter of really sticking close to a mentor. It doesn't have to be me. If you choose me, woo, okay. But if not, make sure that you're sticking close to a mentor that is currently where you're looking to be, and somebody that's willing to roll up their sleeves and literally go through the trenches with you,
Yes.
because there will be the journey of entrepreneurship. I tell my students all the time, it's a marathon and not a sprint. So there are going to be times where you feel confused. There are going to be times where you get discouraged. There are going to be times where you're frustrated because you're not instantly, a master at something. It's the perfectionism. It's the perfectionism.
Yeah.
But when you experience those times, that's where you need support. That's where you need the guidance. That's where you need the mentorship to continue taking the consistent action. So trusting the process, like taking the first step, is the hardest thing. I got to tell you. Once you start, though, you will shock yourself at how much you're able to get done. In my particular case, with the most favorite job I ever had, I was making $50,000 a year. And I was living in Maryland. I was with my husband, and we actually took the leap, and he moved me over to Ohio. So now we were kind of completely relying on his income. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something with this business. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing to be able to grow this. So you got all this doubt, all of these things that kind of fill up your head. But at the end of the day, with what I was doing and building the business up as a side hustle, working at that job in Maryland, literally, I remember I had a coworker when I left, when I was leaving the job. She said, if you were able to do what you did just working full time, like imagine what you'll be able to do having the opportunity to work full time. And now, less than 2 years later, we've been able to generate over $400,000 from Instagram with less than 16,000 followers, helped thousands of women to monetize their social media accounts. And there are hundreds who are out here winning. If I was too afraid to take that first step, literally thousands of other women would still be scratching their heads like, I don't know how in the world I'm supposed to be getting out of this 9-to-5 situation. They would still be stuck. They would still be stuck in their mindset, and they'd still be stuck in their business. So that's the reason it kind of circles back to the concept that what you do is bigger than you. So is it big enough for you to take that consistent action because you know that you're serving at a capacity that's greater than yours? Or are you still kind of stuck on a me mindset? Don't work with the me mindset here.
That is good. I think that is so important. And we'll end with this, is that like you help women get out of their heads and start thinking bigger, and not bigger like, okay, you're going to get big. Your life is going to get bigger, your home, your money, that too. But what you've tapped into something that is really, really powerful, which is it's bigger than yourself, right? Like you have a purpose. There is meaning and significance behind your work. There are people waiting for your work. And so that really is, because once you get into the penthouse, and once you get the cars, and once you get the great savings and all of that, you can lose steam and look around like, what is this for? But if you can think about the audience and think about the impact and the purpose, I think that's what keeps people going. And I thank you so much for that reminder. helping us to reset and to think again about who we can be and what we can do. Nani, thank you so much for joining us on The Reset.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.